Okay, hold on. There we go. Hold on.
Oh, is this really happening?
6 months later.
Is this really you?
Oh, yes. Okay. You know, I probably worried you for a little second. The link wasn't working. And I was like, man.
Well, it was working because you got in.
We're good, though. I just had to update the app when I went to the...
I had the same thing.
Yeah, I had to just update the app real quick. I guess it's been a while since I've been on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Okay, so update me. What's new with you?
Nothing really. Just working, speaking to lovely people like yourself, you know, when they can be bothered to turn up.
So real quick before we get started, you got to explain, what is that back there?
Manny.
That's Manny?
Manny. Manny is there because if you find that a lot of people look like Manny now.
I was looking, I said, what is that back there looking at?
No, it's a purge mask. Have you watched Purge?
So, yeah, I've seen the Purge. That's your Halloween mask?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna be this year, Halloween?
Yeah, I roam the streets of Birmingham in this.
Oh man. Birmingham gotta watch out for you.
So welcome anyway. Darius.
I'm happy to finally be on.
You know what I mean? How have you been?
I've been good. I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. Training's been going really well. I'm just excited to finally get, this pro journey started.
Yeah. And we're gonna get into that anyway. You know, I would like to have been over there with you in your gym speaking to you, because I'm really not a fan of Zoom at all. As I'm sure. Yeah. So, but we kind of stuck here. I'd like to say, hold on a minute, and then just close it down, and then I'm sat next to you, but that's not happening.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully sometime in the future for sure, though.
Yeah, definitely. And no doubt you'll probably be coming here at some point.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so.
Say less.
I would love to. I gotta see how I never actually been to UK before.
You're not missing anything.
Oh no, come on now. Don't say that. Don't say that. You've been to the States before, obviously, right?
I've only been to New York. I haven't been to Houston, Texas, where you're.
You have been to Houston? Oh, okay. Well, you're not missing much.
Well, I don't believe that. You've got some serious talent in Houston when it comes to music.
So you said when it comes to what?
Music as well.
Oh, you're a big fan. Who you listen to?
Well, wasn't Beyonce from Houston?
Yeah, I think she really reps Houston.
Yeah.
Meg Thee Stallion reps Houston a lot. Travis Scott, Houston a lot. Drake on his whole album that just came out was really showing Houston a lot of love.
Oh, right. I was about to say,
no, he's not from, but he shows Houston like crazy love, though.
He's like that, though, isn't he? Because he's good with the British culture as well. And the Brits, we've got like a strong Caribbean culture here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like where you are, but over here, there's quite a strong Caribbean.
I didn't know that. That's new to me.
Yeah, well, you learn something new every day. Not that it's relevant, but pointless facts.
Pointless facts, whatever it may be, but still interesting to know.
Yeah,
it's always good to know about other people's cultures, though.
Yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit about yours.
Well, I could tell you a little bit about my upbringing. So a lot of people are very confused about my face, but I'm just white and black. A lot of people think that I'm I'm Filipino or I'm Asian or I'm Mexican or Puerto Rican or whatever. But my pops is white, my mom is black. So I came up in a biracial home, which was actually really lovely. You know what I mean? Like, I never really seen color growing up. And I grew up in Fort Hood, which is very a diverse.
Okay.
It's a very small town, though. You know what I mean? But it's very diverse, though, because it's a military town. So we had military accepts everybody. So the city that I grew up in was really diverse. There wasn't really any minorities there, So um, I really enjoyed my kind of upbringing there. You know what I mean? Uh, that's kind of how I was raised, and I came out to Houston. Houston's kind of like my home now. I came out here. I needed like more opportunity, which would Houston really provided for me. So, kind of growing up after like when I started boxing in 2015, and it wasn't even long from when I started. Like I was progressing like really fast, and I was one of the better ones like in my city, and I was like, man, this is not good. You ever heard the saying, if you're like the smartest one in the room, you need to get out that room?
Yep.
But it's kind of similar in that sense. Like, I got a lot of love for Khalil. Khalil's done a lot for me. That's where I grew up at. But for me to progress to the next level, I had to go somewhere else to get better. So I ended up moving out to Houston. That's what I came and started school there, and that really changed my life for the best. Because at that point, there was I had some really tough sparring when I came out here, and that just made me a whole lot better.
But you need that though, don't you?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
it's like you're in a comfort zone. You already knew that you had to make a change. You had
Hmm.
to leave to progress. So with that progression, you have to get tested. You that's going to happen.
It has to, and that's when I was in Killeen, I literally felt myself like declining, like
Okay.
but then there was nobody else that was really challenging me, so I felt myself slowly declining. And then when I came into a new environment, it just was a whole new setting, and I was like, man, I had to start all the way back and try to, climb back up and make myself a lot more, a better fighter. So that's the important thing about now is just experience, you know. I'm out
Yeah,
just
and
looking
that's
for new experiences and stuff, and that's really just the name of the game. Even when I start going through this pro journey, is make sure I just get all the experience I need to climb up to the top.
climb up to the top. That's a lot of what the boxers say. They want to get to the top of the mountain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a process. But I mean, so you've come from like a military background. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
work out, where did boxing fit into that? Why boxing?
Boxing came out of nowhere. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like,
Okay.
my family was, I'm the first boxer ever in my entire family, at least that I know of. Um, really, we came from kind of football, baseball home. My brother was crazy talented at football and baseball. He's a lot older than me, but he was my mentor. He was who I looked up to, and he went off and he went to play in the league for a little bit, playing football, and that was kind of where I thought that I was, going to go too. I was trying to follow in his footsteps. He kind of paved the way for me in a lot of ways, but football just wasn't for me. I started wrestling. I got crazy good at wrestling, and once wrestling into my senior year, I was looking for something else to do. Like I was like, damn, like I need something else. I had like an urge to compete and stuff and be great at something. And originally I was gonna do MMA, but then I started boxing. I fell in love with it immediately, and I said, oh, yeah, this is it. Like I had knew from the moment that I was destined for this. I was like, oh, this is gonna be it.
Okay.
And then I just was pushing ever since. And I felt like I had a lot to catch up on. I started boxing relatively late. I was like going on 19 years old. And
Right.
so I had a lot to do and I had to do it quickly. And so I was pushing like really, really hard. And came this far, climbed all the way to the top of the amateurs. And so now it's just like a reset. And I gotta do the exact same thing in the pros and climb all the way back up, which I'm really excited about. That was one of the most exciting things about the amateurs, was like that grind and that hunt getting up there, you know. And now it's like I'm back doing that again, and so I'm excited.
I like the way you describe that. I've never heard anybody describe that. I've spoke to a few, obviously, amateurs that turned over pro, and that's a really good way to describe it. It's like the reset. You've
Mm,
you've done it in the amateurs. You've got where you wanted to get to, and now you're going to do the exact same thing in the pros.
the
It's a good
exact same,
analogy. Yeah.
the exact same thing, you know. And obviously, pro styles is a little bit different, which I think better suits me anyway. So, I never was big on the amateur, the fast paced, the high output
Got
volume. You know what I
right.
mean? I was a lot more calculated. I was I'm better at adapting in a longer style of a fight. So I really think the pro game is way better suited for me. But I just got to get in there first, you know. So the debut is going to be
Yeah,
a crazy experience,
yeah,
and I'm ready for it to hopefully come really really soon.
yeah. Well, we'll touch on that, but in relation to like American amateur style boxing to say the European amateur style boxing, you're the first person that I've spoken to that's been an amateur boxer. Like you said, you know, number one ranked heavyweight amateur in the USA, Golden Gloves winner in 2018. So you're experienced. What would you say the difference is in between like the USA style and the European style?
I think, and I'm trying to figure out how to put it into words.
Be
Um,
honest.
Kind of no, I'm saying how I kind of how I experienced it, but the styles are completely different.
Yeah.
You see a lot of people overseas are like on their feet a lot more and making having a lot of in and out movements. That's
Yeah.
something really big that I noticed, and they kind of mastered more of the amateur style. I feel like um, us in the United States, we were more groomed always in the gyms here to have pro styles of fighting, which is a lot more slower. You know what I mean? We're kind of planted on our feet a little bit more than say like the European style, and a lot of times we're looking for heavy shots rather than overseas. They're just touching. They're just touching real long, staying real long, keeping their distance, moving ahead, um, uh, 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 spinning off on their shots. But the main difference I noticed was how much they were on their feet. Now there were different styles. I faced some people who had like brawling type styles, obviously, but for the most part, that was the main difference, and that was something that I never really seen in the States.
I agree.
That was something that was like really kind of hard to adapt to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's something that was like really different between two styles. Like I said, I think we're really more groomed for pro style of fighting rather than overseas.
No, I actually agree with that. And I've spoken to somebody else that says exactly the same thing. We're more the European style is to box and move
Mm,
in and out. You know, the flurry of shots get out. And I've watched some of your amateur fights. Thank you for sending those over
mm,
because they're so hard to find on the
yeah,
internet.
yeah.
And you are what I'd say is you're like you're an inside fighter and you
Mm,
deal with a lot of power. And the power comes from you like to plant your feet because you're
mm,
not up on your toes, you're not moving around. I've seen that you've stopped a few of your opponents. So you're quite a powerful boxer. You
mm.
carry a lot of power in your shots.
I try to mix it to really depend on who I'm fighting with. I think that's really the name of the game that I learned with the amateurs is trying to just be able to adapt to whoever that I'm in the ring with. The problem with my style for the amateurs was sometimes it could take me a little bit too long to do that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I would give up the first round, and by the second round, I'm trying to play kind of catch up. But yes, absolutely, I've kind of gotten a better on the. That's why I'm excited to demonstrate when I go to the pros. Is really kind of even that some of the inside fighting. Um, but a lot of the difference is I was fighting up a weight class too in the
You
amateurs.
were heavyweight.
Um, yeah, I was fighting heavyweight, which I was never heavyweight. I actually went up. I was normally fighting at light heavy at 178. But so anytime I was fighting, I was always like really small. Like I was like still 180 something or like 190 flat when I would weigh in on the scales. And that was me really. I wouldn't have to cut weight or nothing like that. So I was really kind of dealing with a lot of heavier guys. So that's kind of a little different too now going to the pros of me finally actually, fighting in my weight class that I'm actually true to fighting at. Um, and even then in the amateur, I was handling a lot of the heavy guys a lot better, even on the inside.
Yeah.
Um, so it's gonna be something I really want to demonstrate too when I go into the pros.
Yeah. You can see that you like your body shots
Everybody
and
loves the
and
body
you,
shots.
and your
It's
counters.
it's so crazy. It's when I first started, boxing. I didn't really know anything about how devastating body shots are, but until I remember the first time that I really cracked somebody to the body, and boom, I hit him right. Hands immediately drop down here. And they don't even care about getting hit in the head no more. You just see them covering down here, and you could just hit them, boom, boom, hit them in the head all you want. As long as you don't touch them to the body again. I was like, are you serious? It's mind blowing to me the fact that you touch somebody to the body like that, and they don't even care about getting hit in the head anymore. It's just as long as you're not touching down to their body. And you see how it really, especially like I said, long term, the benefits of it. So I think it really is important. And two, to really kind of mix up the shots. You know, it becomes a little confusing where you're not as predictable when you're coming up down to the head, boom, feint up to the head, come down to the body, feint, body, boom, head, and kind of mixing up your shots and changing the levels. That's something that I've been trying to really work on a lot.
Okay. So we're here now, and you've turned over. You made the decision to say, okay, I've done what I needed to do. What was the final thought in your head that made you think, you know what, it's the pro game now?
Pro game is always kind of my journey, you know. I was always waiting for the Olympics, right? Because I was in school at the time, and even when I won National Golden Gloves, I was in school, and I was like, man, I can't go pro until I graduate college, right? And I graduated college May of 2019, and the Olympic trials was right there. I was like, I'd just be, foolish. It's like the timing was so perfect of everything. So boom, I graduated. Then I dedicated everything I had to boxing, and I went to the qualifiers, secured a spot in the trials, and ended up winning the trials. And I came as the underdog too. I was the last seed in the Olympic trials. Came out, won the Olympic trials, and was then on Team USA from that point. And my goal is always Olympics. Once you finish with the Olympics, then we'll go over to the pros. Unfortunately, for the situation that happened with COVID and stuff, it ruined my opportunity to even try to get a spot in the Olympics. But so once kind of COVID ruined that for me, then it was just important for me to just focus on pros at that point.
You've been signed for a few months now.
Mm-hmm.
What promotional company are you with?
So,
your promoters?
So we'll have to get to that one our next conversation.
I was just trying to sneak.
We had to get to that. We had to get to
the
next conversation.
Sneak that in without you realizing and just okay.
We had to get to the next conversation.
So that is going to come along with obviously when you're going to debut, because that was going to be my next question. When can we expect to see you out? And
a good expectation would be sometime October or November. We're looking pretty soon. I'll make sure I've been staying in the gym and staying in shape. So hopefully we'll get something going pretty soon, October, November.
Yeah, I see that you're in the gym all the time. I do like your workouts, actually, because I'm a big fan of conditioning, strength and conditioning. I like to see fighters that put the effort into that as well. Obviously, there's the old school way of the shadow boxing, the skipping, the bag work. All of that is really important and a core foundation of boxing. But I always do have my eye on the conditioning stuff and some of the stuff that I've seen, like you with the core wheel on the treadmill.
Yeah.
There's stuff that you've done that, really caught my eye, and I thought, I want to speak to him because there's certain attributes that you showed that would draw my attention, because there's lots of boxers out there. Believe it or not all of them want to speak to me, but I am quite selective on who I approach. I don't just approach everyone. I'll look at them and think, could I actually have a conversation with you, or will I just sit there bored shitless?
I feel that. Well, look, that just made me feel so much better. I feel so special.
Oh, I don't mean it like that. It's just it's a taste, isn't it? It's a taste.
Yeah. Well, so to kind of ask what you were saying, like the strength and conditioning aspect is so important. Like, I've always felt that if I was in shape and I was feeling 100% conditioning wise, and I didn't have a thought about my conditioning failing me, that there is nobody. I feel like nobody can beat me.
Sparring. What type of sparring do you do? Because obviously there's technical, and there's the tough sparring. One of the gyms that I like to follow is is it Mustafa Mohammed?
Mm-hmm.
His gym and his sparring. I could buy tickets and watch that because
Yeah,
obviously they do the tough sparring in there.
I don't know if
But
they
what
do
type
that
of
all the
sparring do
time,
you
but
do?
that I don't know if they do that all the time. That's definitely was posted a lot. Tough sparring is okay, every now and then, but the sparring I do is more technical sparring than anything. It's great you can have some wars in the gym every now and then, but you don't want to have too many wars where you hurting yourself,
And you're not getting
doing
paid
too
for it.
much. You're not getting paid for it. There's no benefit. Well, I guess there is a little benefit, if you're trying to really get locked in and get in the zone and stuff. But like I said, very rarely that you would do some really, really tough sparring, like the stuff that you're describing. You know what I mean? Where people are getting knocked out in the ring. But very different from the sparring that I do. A lot of times on those videos that you see, they're really sparring with people that shouldn't be sparring with them.
Mm.
And I never do that. I've never been the type of guy to ever take advantage of anybody that I'm sparring with. Or even likewise, like I spar with I always spar with the top guys, like sparring with Jared and FA and BY, who I've been sparring with
Okay.
lately.
What's
And
Jared like?
yeah, Jared for sure. I could say with confidence he gonna be the next heavyweight champ for sure. That dude's crazy talented. So yeah, with confidence, I could say that.
Okay. I've seen his fights. I know he's fresh, he's new as well. Obviously, we know who he's been in the Fury camp. He's been sparring with Fury. But the thing that drew my attention to him, and I think it's kind of like the way the boxing is your character. You can box. You can be the best boxer in the world nowadays, really skilled. But if you're not knocking out every one of your opponents, you've got to bring something else to the table.
Something else, I agree.
And it's like, even though Jared is knocking out people, he's got character. I mean, he turns up to his matches dressed as a chef.
The chef,
or the Halloween costume. I mean, to me, that's entertainment. I like that stuff. And he's bringing something to the division, not obviously ridiculing other fighters like, Deontay Wilder when he burnt his own eyes out by dressing up with his laser costume. But I'm saying Jared does bring that excitement to the division. So what are you going to bring? Because I know you've got power. I've seen what you can do. But what about your character? What are you going to bring to the division?
I have a couple ideas that I want to do, but I can't tell you right now. It's got to be a surprise. I want you to be surprised when you see it. When you come out, like, oh, okay.
I mean, your amateur coach, is he following you into pro, or are you getting a new one?
Yeah, he is. Regardless of what happens, he has to be with me every step of the way. That's he's my brother. He's more than just a coach to me. Like, we're family, so he has to go with me wherever I go.
I love that, because coaches, I speak to a lot of people, but I really enjoy speaking to coaches, and a few of them that I've spoken to where their fighters have just left them because somebody's whispered in their ear, offered them something better or whatever, the grass is greener kind of thing. And coaches are left heartbroken because, like you've just said there, he's more than a coach. He's like my brother. So that would have been someone you've confided in, someone that you speak to on a personal level, someone that probably knows you better than you know yourself.
Absolutely.
And get up and walk away because, thanks for all those years. I'm pro now. Bye.
Yeah. It's a real stab in the back sometimes, and I know some people are, when they go pro, I know a lot of times like a coach with the name is important. But
what do you think of that?
I've never experienced it. Like, I've never went and trained with the coach with the huge name, like the Virgin Hunters, the Freddie Roaches. So I can't speak on it. I don't know how they train, but I just know myself and what makes me comfortable, and I feel comfortable around people who I trust. And so there's no shame towards any of the, those elite coaches, top coaches like that. But like I said, my guy's I know he has my back. I know he's looking for my best interest. and he knows me the best than anybody. And I love his philosophy. When he talks, I understand, and so that's what's important. And like I said, he has to go with me everywhere.
I like
And
that.
he's not
Have you
he's
got a number two?
and he's not a territorial coach either. So like if we went to a gym and I was working with another coach for a while, it's no, like I said, he's like my brother, you know what I mean? He just wants what's best for me. But regardless of it, he has to go wherever I go. That's always gonna be my stipulation.
I think I think territorial behaviors come with insecurities. I think if you're insecure that you're going to lose something, you become
Mhm.
protective of it.
Absolutely.
You
You're
don't want
absolutely right.
anyone else to have it. So you saying that he's not territorial is because he's confident enough in his
Mhm.
own practices with you that you're not just going to run off to the next
Mhm.
best thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not leaving. So his name is Darnell. I got to give him a name, so just call him my coach. I'm not leaving Darnell for nobody. Darnell's, like I said, he's my guy. He's helped me through a lot of dark times, and likewise, like we've been through so much together going through this journey. So like one thing that I say about like his philosophy that I love, and I'll share that with you, is like there's no right or wrong way to boxing. You just have to do what's right for you. Always listen and take note on what anybody says. You probably understand a lot of people in the gym will pass by and say, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that."
Yep.
And a lot of times, like, who are you? You know what I mean? But always listen. Shoot, they tell you to do something, try it out. If it doesn't work, then throw it away. You don't need it.
No,
We could definitely add somebody to the team, but like I said, he'll always be there with me.
yeah. And that's good and that's refreshing to hear because like I said, loyalty changes. I thought loyalty
Mm.
was something that is set in stone and it stays there, but it's as fluid as water
That's
in this
true.
game,
That's true.
you
Especially
know?
in this business, is who can do the most for you. And you
Yeah.
said some people say that the grass is green over here, but it's just the grass is greener wherever you water it at. Is a saying that I had heard.
Yeah.
As long as you take care of the relationship, the grass is going to be green and taken care of.
Absolutely.
As
And
long as you,
that
as long as
is
you take care of the relationship.
but you'll carry that philosophy out into your normal life. And this is where
Mm-hmm.
like the stability, the mindset of people in general and me speaking to all boxers, speaking to trainers, I've spoken to a few, not, millions, but I've spoken to a few.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of like see the mindset of the fighter and how stable they are, usually by the partnerships that they have with their coaches and how long that they've had those relationships. Because, like you said, they're your confidant, they're your brother, they're your best friend, they get you through the dark times. And I think having a good coach and a coach that obviously knows what they're doing, because you can't just have someone there as a mentor. They need to understand the sport to get you to win. They
Mm-hmm.
need to be that third eye when maybe you're down on some rounds and you're coming back in and saying, bro, my head's at a loss. What do I
Mm-hmm.
need to do in this fight? They need that there as well. But that in conjunction with the good relationship sets a certain mindset of a fighter, a stable mindset, and you can see that they'll reflect it in life. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
absolutely.
that's a bit too deep, but if your mind's right, everything else falls into place. But if your mind's not right, things fall apart.
Absolutely. That's one thing I learned about boxing the most was really just the mental aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Um, Even when I was on Team USA, like I felt a little weird with him not being in my corner. He was never able to be in my corner during those times. And even the preparation, getting ready for these tournaments and stuff, he couldn't be there. And I really feel like that reflected a lot. Like I never felt I never felt good going into those tournaments that I had, kind of really being there. Which just sounds weird, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it
oh, you
doesn't.
can't perform out somebody being in your corner, but it's really true. Like your corner matters. And I never thought this when I got in the box, and I always thought I'm going to the ring by myself, which is true. I am going to the ring by myself, but also not really. Like I have so many people that's in my corner that's helping me get to this point, right? And even the preparation, I realized how much stress plays a factor in performance. Like what is going on outside of the ring is going to show inside the ring without a doubt. You know what I mean? Because now you're not even focused. You have so many other subconscious thoughts that's flowing through your mind during the time when you're supposed to be performing. And just like the mental aspect is really like 95% of the battle. Once you can kind of master that, it makes sure everything. That's why it's important to eliminate stress. A lot of boxers, they go away for training camps just so they can focus on boxing. They avoid all the problems that they have outside the ring. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
And that mental aspect is like crazy important. And when you got somebody that you trust and believe in, you know how many times I've been in the ring and I've seen footages and stuff, and I remember hearing like my coach saying, "Yeah, I need to add this, throw this shot when he does this or whatever." And I'm in the ring when I hear him saying, "No, I don't feel like that's there," right? But then I go back and watch the film, like, oh my gosh, it was there the whole time. Like I was right in range to do that, but it just felt like in the moment, like I was like, no, I can't do that, I'm not in range. But once I started developing that trust, now it's just when he says something, okay, I believe him. Boom, boom, and then I actively do it. I realized too, like I said, like a lot later, but yeah, it's important that I have him in my corner though. Like I said, we work really well together. And I want to ask you questions. You've interviewed a lot of fighters and stuff. What does the majority of fighters say about watching film on their opponent
Good question.
before they fight?
It's a varied answer. I'd say it's probably 50-50. The ego tells them to tell me they don't study the opponent. And some of them will say that they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a strong believer in you need to study your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
You need to study them. I would personally, I'm not a fighter, so fair enough. People can say, oh, what the hell do you know? You're not a boxer. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to compete with somebody, because that's what you're doing, you're competing with them. Mm-hmm. You want to know everything about them, from what they have for breakfast, from what time they go to bed. Mm-hmm. Because people have patterns. They have patterns, and they might try and change it or switch it up. But generally, people have patterns, and you'll be able to find faults in that pattern, faults in their fighting. You might go in the ring and see an opponent that's really protective over their body. Why is that? Why they
know they can't handle it.
There you go. So it's about studying the patterns of your opponent. So to me, if fighters say, I don't need to study my opponents, I'm happy. As long as I'm happy with the way I'm performing, I don't need to study my opponent. I'm like, really? So you're just going to go in there blind? Mm-hmm. But that's why I think sometimes it's the ego that says it, because they don't want to seem like they're looking at somebody else. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I don't know. From a boxer's point of view.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, though. Like, I know a lot of times, so I just explain my side of it. So I know, like, throughout the amateurs and stuff, I mean, it's really kind of hard to find film in anybody in the amateurs anyway. But in the amateurs, even say for example, for a tournament and stuff, I would never. My coach would do a lot of scouting and stuff, right? And when we would start warming up, he would never kind of really tell me this. He would kind of just when we start warming up and doing mitts, he would constantly keep repeating certain things.
Okay.
Right after saying, okay, after throwing the 1-2, he always would boom duck this way. We're gonna add the 5, and all you see, he never would tell me that, but the whole time we're working at the same thing, getting ready for the fight, right? The kind of issue sometimes with the amateurs I had realized was a lot of people never fought. Like, okay, for example, you're right, people do have tendencies, but I would watch somebody fight before me, right? And they would fight this certain way. I would get in the ring with them and they would not fight like that at all. And I was like, ooh. I was completely blind. Like, I felt like blindsided. I was like, wait a minute, you weren't doing none of this when you were fighting like the last guy. Last guy you were brawling with me, you're over here trying to box and stuff, and it was completely different. I started realizing that people would never fight me the same as they would fight somebody else, right? And a lot of times, for people who are like overthinkers, they can really get in their head and they'll overanalyze a lot about somebody. So I really think it really depends on the person, because for people who can overanalyze, that's very detrimental to what they're doing, rather than they just be instinctive. I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, right?
Like
So
you see certain body language from your opponent that will make you have that. I don't know.
yeah,
Is that what you
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes when you watch an opponent or whatever, right, and you can kind of get real too in your head about what they're trying to do. And so when it's time for you to actually get in the ring, you can kind of really start to overthink a lot of stuff that they do,
Okay.
when it's really just not. It's something just so simple. Um, and that's kind of how I was a little bit, but this is just the amateurs, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Pros is a lot different. We're really only fighting one person. Amateur, we had back to back to back. You didn't really know who you were
Yeah.
fighting, so I feel like it was a little bit different.
When I talk about studying opponents, I'm not just talking about watching their footage. I'm talking about watching what's around them and listening to
Yeah,
what they've got to say. Because I've got a saying as well: loose lips sink ships. Shut your fucking mouth.
I love how you said that. Such a damn mouth.
Shut it. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
that was a little bit of advice you just told me, because like I said, I've always been really transparent, and I can always just
shit to
spill
yourself.
out everything going on with me. But
Yeah. Keep shit to yourself. If it doesn't benefit you, why are you talking about it?
mm,
I'm not saying you to say, I'm fantastic and da, 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 da. You don't need to do that because your work will show. But if it's not going to benefit you, don't say anything.
mhm.
It's common sense. And when I say, obviously, studying your opponent, I also study the coaches, and I also study the managers, and I also study the promoters, because sometimes people have loose lips and they let things slip.
Mhm.
And there's certain flaws. Say, for example, if a fighter's maybe suffering an injury, why would you talk about that on camera?
Yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't. So I'm the type of person that would research. And if I was fighting someone and I was, everything's on YouTube, from how to fry an egg to I don't know, build a house, everything's on
Mhm.
YouTube. Sometimes people talk too much. And I think that can also hinder fighters, because if the opponent is clever enough, they'll be watching that and think, oh, injury. What's a common injury in boxing, Darius?
Well, a lot of it could be hand injuries, shoulder injuries.
So what do you think the opponent's going to do if they hear a whisper of an injury? They were going to
Take advantage
start
of
attacking certain parts of the
it.
body, aren't they?
Hmm.
Fair enough, you can't attack the hands. Your hands, you got to punch. But if you think injury and you're thinking, okay, has somebody got like a shoulder injury, or you're guessing, you can attack those parts of the body, can't you?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
One thing I say too, kind of about that, like, and I can notice from sparring, I haven't been in an actual fight that's longer than 3 rounds, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I know from sparring, but you can tell like the emotions is like a real roller coaster what people can go through throughout the duration of a whole match. You know, you're going through a round, and you talking about somebody can be confident, boom, but they keep getting hit with a jab and their confidence drops. Boom, but they start landing a couple shots and it goes back up. And the bad it's just like a little roller coaster of how you're
Way.
feeling,
Yeah.
you know? And if you're able to kind of keep that momentum going, or even just here or just even going up, is huge. One of the hard parts I've realized about boxing too is, now this really sounds crazy when you kind of say it, because you're really in there risking your life. You have somebody that's an actual threat in front of you. But it is so hard to remain like razor sharp focus for a whole, just say, 12-round fight. I already know it, and I haven't been in the 12-round fight yet. You know, it's so hard to be that focused. Being that focused is extremely exhausting, extremely draining. You just ask anybody to just hit a heavy bag nonstop for 36 minutes. Just do it nonstop for 36 minutes, and just see as your mind just goes all over the place.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You can't. It's so hard to be focused, and it's crazy because you have somebody that's actually threatening you and attacking you. But that is one of the most difficult things to do. It's so easy to because everything starts to become like a blur throughout
Okay.
the fight. It becomes like a blur, and it all just becomes like kind of just one long round, and you get into the groove, a certain groove that you kind of just start getting real kind of laxed, and you start to relax, and boom, that's when you start making mistakes. You start making so it's that's one of the most challenges, being focused for that long.
Because I'm gonna ask you now, because you're a fighter, and what is it with the ego and boxing? I mean, is it a survival mechanism? What is
I
it?
think this is like a man on man sport. This is one of those things. Even as we're growing up as kids, you think of people fighting, you want to know who's a superior man or whatever,
Okay.
right? And it's one of those like a kind of even like a pride thing. Like you don't want to ever allow another man to be better than you.
Right.
You never want to, especially in this one. This is different from like basketball but like boxing is just me and you,
Yeah.
and whoever wins just proves who's the better man. And like I said, that's like a man's thing. Like I cannot allow another man to be better than me. My pride won't sit right knowing that. But ego is a powerful thing. Ego get people through a lot of stuff. Ego can motivate somebody a lot to really push through when they're down. So not to
Okay.
say it's a bad thing, but somebody's pride sometimes will not allow them to lose. And when somebody's like confidence, you can see when somebody really gets crushed, their will is gone. That's when you completely like defeated a man as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, but some people's pride won't allow it, and allows them to keep pushing through and try to persevere through the whole entire fight. So it has as good as pros and as cons, but
And I'm trying to understand what makes you guys, tick, why you are the way you are, because you are special to be able to think, oh, I know what I'm going to do for a career. I'm going to go in there and beat somebody to a pulp and beat them unconscious. If you put it like that,
that was terrible.
okay. So you have to have a certain way about you to even do that. So I get it now. You've put it into perspective. It is literally, it's sort of like going back to those primal instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's tearing away, not moralistic, because you'll see it as a job. So I suppose it's not that deep, but when you look at it, it makes perfect sense with what you've said and why people think the way they think.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much more to boxing. We just see you go in there, you do your thing, oh yeah, that was a great, post-fight interviews, yeah, that was really great, I was pleased with that stoppage, or okay, maybe I could have done better, yeah, let's shout out my sponsors, boom, mic drop, yeah, everyone goes on. Nah, there's so much more.
But there's so many benefits to the sport that I just love so much, and it's done a lot. It's done a lot for me that carries into my life. Those just a few off the top of the head, but it's a funny sport though, because like I said, I don't like fighting. I don't like fighting outside of the ring. I love fighting inside the ring, but outside of the ring, I don't like drama. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. But in the ring, it's just something different.
It's business.
It's god dang business.
Our conversation was overdue for about 768 million years.
Was it that long though?
Yeah.
I feel like it was just like a
I mean, I
week or
don't
two.
hold a grudge or anything.
It seems like you do. You keep bringing it up.
Yeah, I don't look like an elephant, but I don't forget anything. But yeah, we're gonna talk again. You know, I've really enjoyed speaking with you today.
I enjoyed speaking with you as well. And then we'll most definitely talk soon. I have to let you know once everything gets announced and stuff. With the debut and the promotion and stuff. So I keep you informed for sure.
I did try and sneak it in, but I couldn't. But yeah.
I know. Loose lips sink ships. You taught me that.
Loose lips sink ships.
You taught me that one.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, it's never a truer word spoken. Just be mindful of what you say to those around you, because not everyone in your corner wants to see you win.
So that one goes back to trust no one.
Okay, then.
They all go back. That was the other thing you told me. Trust no one and loose lips sink ships.
I sound quite negative, don't I? I'm not trying to sound negative. I'm just saying protect your energy.
Protect yourself. That's all you're saying.
Yeah. But listen, I better let you go. Honestly, I really appreciate your time today. I'm glad we spoke, actually, because I think we'll do it again. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I'm convinced we'll do it again.
You said what?
I'm convinced that we'll do it again.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get some set up for sure.
Yeah. So let me know then when obviously all the announcements and everything starts coming out. Just let us know.
Okay, we'll do. That sounds good. Look, be safe, okay, and enjoy the rest of your night. Now I'll talk to you soon.
And you. I'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.